Soundelux Audio Publishing is pleased to present Surviving Galeras by Stanley Williams and Fen Montaigne. This is Robert Reedy. "6 years after the eruption at Galeras, I stood again at the crater's rim, scarcely recognizing the blasted gray pit spread out before me. The ledge on which Igor Manyailov and Nestor Garcia knelt and sampled gases had disappeared. The western rim, where Jeff Brown, Fernando Cuenca, and Carlos Trujillo stood, had been partially blown away by the eruption. Gazing into the crater, I was struck by how tiny, in a geological sense, the eruption had been. As the steam from fumaroles drifted past me and wafted down Galeras' western flank, I reminded myself that the deadly eruption was a mere hiccup, a blast so small that geologists decades hence will find no sign of it. Yet the power of the eruption, to those of us who lived through it, was staggering. It wiped 5 of my colleagues from the face of the earth. It killed 9 men, injured 6 others, and continues to ripple through the lives of dozens of people. It nearly killed me. The volcano runs like a fault line through my days, dividing my existence into life before Galeras and life after. I know now what a tricky and elusive thing memory can be, particularly after a calamity such as Galeras. I sustained a grave head wound, but was nevertheless able to piece together a picture of the last minutes before the eruption. Over the years, as I underwent 16 operations, as Galeras greeted me every morning when I awoke, as I slogged through a recovery that continues to this day, I came to believe unshakably in my version of what had transpired on the crater rim before Galeras blew. But I am less certain now. 3 of my colleagues, standing just feet from me, remember things differently. Are they right? Can their stories really be true? Some of my memories are vivid, others less so. But no matter. This is what I remember of the moments before Galeras exploded. Chapter 1. Galeras. Pasto, population 300,000, sits at 9,000 feet in a wide green bowl in the northern Andes. The city's central square is 5 miles from the crater of Galeras, and on a clear day residents can sometimes see steam rising from the volcano, whose squat, barren silhouette looms over the city. Local Indians long refer to the volcano as Orcanina, the fire mountain. But to the Spanish colonists, the gas clouds that formed over the volcano resembled sails, and its long, gentle slope looked like a ship's hull. In the 19th century, they rechristened the mountain Galeras, from the Spanish galera, a boat with large, open sails. As Pasto and its surroundings have grown, the population has gradually crept onto the flanks of Galeras. Today, on all sides, the volcano's apron is colored green, brown, and gold by a patchwork of crops: corn, wheat, potatoes, and vegetables. The soil is enriched by volcanic ash, and Galeras seems to be a generally benign presence. Occasionally it explodes, shooting a black column several miles high and dusting Pasto and its surrounding towns with fine gray ash. The fire mountain also rumbles, its earthquakes shaking the region's adobe and stucco homes with such force that nervous residents take to sleeping in the streets. Despite these reminders that they live under a volcano, Pastuzos are quick to point out that Galeras has never killed anyone in recorded history. Never, that is, until the scientists angered the mountain by prodding it with their equipment. The landscape around Galeras, verdant and breathtaking, does not inspire foreboding. The lower realms of the mountain, at around 5,000 to 6,000 feet, are thick with white-flowering coffee bushes, yellow-flowering guava trees, red and purple bougainvillea, 6-foot poinsettias, orange and avocado trees, and banana plants. Tall, ramrod-straight eucalyptus trees line many roads, which campesinos follow by mule or on foot. Driving down these winding, vertiginous thoroughfares, where 2,000-foot drop-offs are common, the traveler is treated to expansive vistas where the heavily cultivated Andes ranges unroll to the horizon. As a geologist, I see a different and more threatening landscape. Arriving in Pasto, I see beneath parks and streets the deposits of massive pyroclastic flows that swept over this terrain as recently as 40,000 years ago, the blink of an eye in geological time. Wherever a highway slices through a hillside, I see the geological record of countless volcanic eruptions, a yellow and gray layer cake of ash, pumice, and lava. On the western side of Galeras, near the valley of Rio Azufral, villagers pay no mind to a high, rounded hillock covered in cornfields that rises abruptly from the landscape. I see it for what it is, a 150,000-year-old satellite cone of a long-extinct embodiment of Galeras. Geologists have two ways of divining the threat a volcano poses: by studying its current activity or reading a record of past eruptions in the landscape. A close look at Galeras's geological pedigree leads to an inescapable conclusion. This volcano is anything but benign. Another fact should give pause. Galeras has been the most historically active volcano in Colombia. Over the past 500 years, it has erupted nearly 30 times. One eruption, in 1866, sent a lava stream 3.5 miles long and 90 feet deep down the western slope of the volcano toward Gonzaga. Galeras has disgorged pyroclastic flows, deadly clouds of hot ash, gas, and volcanic ejecta, on many recent occasions, including 1936. The August 27, 1936 pyroclastic flow, captured by a photographer, sped several kilometers down the northeastern slope toward Pasto. A similar event today would probably kill thousands of people. Scientists love to convene, and the tribe of men and women who work on active volcanoes, about 300 to 400 people worldwide, is no exception. Roughly 50 hardcore volcanologists and an equal number of geologists in related fields were flying into Pasto for a conference scheduled for Monday, January 11th. They came from 14 countries because Galeras had been selected as one of 15 volcanoes worthy of study under a United Nations program, the International Decade for the Reduction of Natural Hazards. We planned to hold 2 days of meetings in Pasto, to conduct 6 field trips on Wednesday, including a research foray into the crater, and to hold 2 days of roundtable discussions on Thursday and Friday. Many scientists, including Igor Manyailov and Jeff Brown, would continue working on the volcano after the conference. The goal was to launch several long-term research projects that would focus on Galeras, deepening our understanding of the volcano and assessing the threat it posed to the region. On Saturday and Sunday, January 9th and 10th, old friends and colleagues began arriving in Pasto. Helping me welcome them and run the conference was Marta Lucia Calvache Velasco, my good friend and prized graduate student. A petite, striking woman with short black hair and dark blue eyes, Marta was a native of Pasto, who also headed the local geological observatory that was run by Ingeo Minas, Colombia's geological survey. She was doing her PhD work on the history of Galeras's eruptions, knew every bit of its terrain, and hiked the Andes with an ease I could admire but never match. By the end of the week, she would lead the effort that saved my life. 2 good friends in the volcanological community, Menard Pete Hall and his wife, Patty Mothes, drove in from Quito. I knew Pete and Patty well and had great respect for both of them. They had gone thoroughly native, speaking excellent Spanish, living mainly off their meager Ecuadorian salary, building their house themselves, and generously sharing their knowledge with their Ecuadorian colleagues. Pete and Patty felt none of the condescension some expatriates display towards the indigenous culture and treated Ecuadorians with decency and respect.